Hello, this is Darren.
And this is Paige.
And this is
Where's the Lemonade?
Where we talk about what happens when life throws you lemons.
Make some lemonade?
Maybe. Some weeks it's lemon squares.
Yeah, some weeks it's just lemons.
Yeah. On today's episode,
We're going to talk about when your kids get married and we're a blended family.
sounds like a lot of fun. So 2 weeks ago, we had the opportunity to be with our son, Jacob. What number is Jacob? Number 6?
I don't know.
He's our second Jacob.
Somewhere in the middle.
Yeah. So our second Jacob for his wedding.
Yes, he married Andy, who we adore, and she is a fantastic addition to our family.
She fits right in.
She does. We love her so much. But in a blended family, nothing can just be normal. It has to be complicated. And it starts off with the kids. Like, they have to think about a lot of things to do with their blended family when it comes to a wedding.
And so first off, to Andy and Jacob, we're really sorry.
Yes,
you had to deal with the blended family.
We are very sorry.
And it started way before even the wedding, planning was going on. It started with the wedding invitations.
Yeah, when you are in a blended family, or actually, no, let me take that back. When your parents are divorced,
yeah,
you have to think about the wedding invitation. What's it going to say? Is one of your parents remarried and one's not? Are they both remarried? Are you just going to put your parents' names? I saw that recently with some people that were divorced. One of them was remarried, one was not. So the wedding invitation, all it said was the dad's name
and then the mom's name.
And the mom's name, not together. It wasn't like Mr. and Mrs. It was, this person's name and this person's name. It didn't say anything about his wife. So that's one way to do it. Just mention your parents. And I was asking Rachel, my daughter who got married 8 years ago, right? I think it was 8 years ago. I think that's what she did. I don't think she put your name on the invitation. I think she put...
No, we'd only been married 6 months.
We'd only been married a little bit of time. And I think she put her dad's name and my name, if I remember correctly.
I can't remember.
One way to do it is to not put your parents' name on there at all. That's one way to do it, right?
So, but Jacob and Andy decided to put our names and his mom and his stepdad's name, and also, of course, Andy's parents' name.
Right. Yep.
So, just so everyone knows, I got first billing because Jacob's middle name is my first name, so my name was on the invitation twice.
You're so funny.
It's
so
important
funny.
to me.
You're so funny. Yeah, it's not at all.
No, it's not.
We just
it's
joke
one
about
thing. It's one thing that these poor kids have to think about. One extra thing.
It is. It's an extra thing to go, oh, how are we going to say this? Who are we going to put on there first? Gosh. Luckily, we're the type of people that we're like, you don't need to put our name first. We don't care. Do what you need to do.
My name was first, though.
Your name, because
Jacob
it was
Darren.
Jacob. Yes,
Yeah.
Jacob Darren. Well, okay. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're happy about that.
I'm happy about it. Now, the other tough thing for these couples that are coming from a blended family, these kids that are getting married, is who pays for what? I mean, traditionally, groom's family pays for certain things, and bride's family pay for certain things.
Right.
So, what do? Because now the groom's family consists of 2 parents.
Right.
So do you go and ask each parent what they're willing to pay?
Yeah. Is it a split thing?
Is it split? Some people I've seen in their parenting agreements already have that set up.
Wow. That is thinking ahead.
Yeah, it is. In fact, when I put my parenting agreement together with my ex, we had a book that we went through, and it asked questions like that.
Oh, gotcha.
Right. So that's why people have them.
And it's interesting because at the time you probably think, oh, this is ridiculous that we need to talk about this.
Yeah, my kids are like 5 and 6 years old.
But you never know what your relationship's going to be like when your kids get married. You never know, so sometimes it's good to have those things in writing.
Well, sometimes it is.
Yeah.
I think Jacob and Andy handled it pretty well. Unless my ex paid for the same things I paid for. And
that'd be funny.
That would be funny.
Way to go, Jacob and Andy, if they did that. Yeah, way to double dip.
But it's yet another thing that these kids have to go through.
It's true. And I always say that I'm so sad for my kids coming from divorced parents, because every happy occasion that they will ever have in their life is always marred with, well, I've got my dad and I've got my mom and I've got my step parents and who's going to stay with me and who. Every happy occasion has to have these things, and I am sorry about that.
So, I mean, the key as a parent of one of these kids is be flexible.
Be as flexible and easygoing and friendly and polite as possible.
Open up your checkbook.
Yep.
And just,
That's right. Daddy Warbucks, open it up.
Pictures, right?
Yes.
So this is a whole nother thing. Now, when Rachel got married, that was, oh my goodness, 7 years ago?
I just said 8 years ago.
8 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow. So 8 years ago, Rachel got married. We'd only been married for 6 months. So it was a little bit different than with Jacob, because we've now been married 8 years.
Right. Almost 9.
Almost coming
Actually,
on
9. In a month, it'll be 9.
In a month, that's right.
Yep.
So a little bit different because you helped raise Jacob. I didn't help raise Rachel.
Yeah. Yes. I mean,
he was
like
a stranger still to her.
He was 14, so I was there for some of his teenage years.
So a little bit different, but pictures end up being a big, huge deal.
Yeah, and there's tons of different ways to handle it. The way that Rachel handled it was, Rachel is a very type A personality, and she wanted everything outlined before picture day so that no one was surprised. No one was like, wait, you want that picture? She wanted it out there in the open. These are the pictures I want. So she emailed all of us and said, I want a picture with me and my mom and my dad. I want a picture with me and Russell and my mom and my dad. I want a picture with me and Russell and my mom and my stepdad. Like, she literally went down and said, these are all the pictures. She just didn't want anyone to be surprised or anything.
Right.
Jacob and Andy, they were just going to go with the flow and whatever pictures.
Oh, and something really funny happened with the flow.
Yes, it did.
It did. So we took all the normal pictures, and I got a picture. My ex and I stood with Andy and Jacob.
Because you are Jacob's mom and dad.
Exactly.
Yep.
And then all of the parents were there, step parents and parents. And that was nice. And then Paige and my ex's husband said, hey, what about a step parents picture?
Well, yeah, when you guys were taking your picture, your ex's husband came over and was standing by me, and we were like, bios, they get all the glory. They get the pictures. Us steps, we get nothing. Of course we were joking.
Of course, but you guys got a picture
and
taken with
I
them.
said to him, we should take a picture, just you and I with them. And he was like, let's do it. So we thought we were hilarious.
It was pretty funny, I have to admit.
So we were joking that in like 50 years, that picture is going to float around and someone's going to be like, wait a second.
Who are those?
Why were these two people were these two people married? What is this? So yeah, we thought it could be funny. So yes, we tried to be light and have a little fun with it.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
right?
It was. And I think the pictures all went smoothly. Nobody was bent out of shape. We all took turns. It was great. And what we were all focused on was a happy wedding for Jacob and Andy. And that is,
and it really happened well.
Yes, it was really nice.
So if you are in this situation and maybe you're not in a good spot with your ex, you need to just put things aside and remember it's not about you and your ex.
Nope.
It's about your child.
Suck it up, people. Yep. And I'm not kidding. Suck it up. I don't care what your relationship is at this minute, and I don't care whose fault it is for your relationship that you have right now with your ex, if it's a bad one. It doesn't matter. It's not about you during these happy times. No, it is about your child. And you want their day. You do not want them to look back and go, oh, that day was so, can you believe that they wouldn't do this and they wouldn't do that? I mean, you do not want that. You don't. So suck it up, put your big panties on, and just be friendly and have a good time and act like you're an adult, right?
Yeah.
That's what you got to do. So we had something. So not everybody does this, but we did a rehearsal dinner the night before the wedding.
Right.
Which there wasn't really anything to rehearse, but
it was just so that both sides of the family, meaning Andy's family and Jacob's family, could get together and get to know each other a little bit more without any pressure or anything like that.
And we put that on. We rented a restaurant, and because typically the groom's family does that. Right. So we took care of that. It was a delightful restaurant. It was so good.
Yeah, it was.
But once again, I feel like that puts Jacob and Andy in a difficult spot. We all go to sit
next to
right.
who?
We all go to sit down, and do they sit by the mom? I mean, it's just all these little things that I hate that they have to think about. And
and then also think of Andy's parents.
Right. Who do they talk to? Who do they sit by?
Yeah, it must be confusing for them.
Yes.
On all right, who I need to give equal time.
Yes, I feel so bad for them. So bad, but I feel like it all went well. I could totally be wrong, but I think it all went well.
I think it did too. I think it actually went pretty well, and kudos to Andy's parents for navigating something very difficult.
Yes,
so gracefully. They did
so
a
gracefully.
Job.
They did a great job, and it was delightful. So yes, the rehearsal dinner. And some people that are maybe a little more uptight might already decide before the rehearsal dinner where everybody's going to sit. We had not done that. Jacob and Andy had not done that. So it was just, sit wherever. And it worked out fine.
It did. Now, for the actual ring ceremony, right, there were a parents' table. And all 6 parents were at the table with Andy.
Well, the ring ceremony, we just had chairs set up that we watched the ring ceremony.
The reception. Sorry.
Yeah, but the ring ceremony, they said, parents sit in the front. We did, right? All the parents sat in the front. And then when we brought the tables in for the small reception that we had, yes, I don't know if it was Andy or Andy's mom, but someone wanted a parents' table.
Andy's mom.
Yes, and it was fine. It was totally fine.
It was fine. And you know what? It was such an enjoyable evening. I think the kids navigated this very well.
They did.
And, kudos to the Von Collins.
Yes.
Andy's parents.
Yep.
For navigating something that no one really talks about.
Well, and something else that's interesting about parents that are divorced and remarried and blended families, have a much bigger family. So Andy comes from a family of just a brother and sister. And her parents.
3 kids.
There's 3 kids. Well, in our blended family, there's 10 kids. And then, your ex also, her husband also has 2 kids. They weren't at the wedding. But if they would have been, that would have been, 12 kids. We have a married daughter who has a husband who has 2 kids. So we are a little overwhelming.
In fact, who was it? Jacob or David counted the number. Our family is at 16 now.
Our family's at 16. Yes, it is. Yeah. And then we had your parents were there.
Right.
So we're a little overwhelming. And I was worried about that Andy's brother is in the military, and so he couldn't come.
He's deployed, so he's
deployed. So it was her sister and her parents, and then they had, and because it's COVID, things were smaller. Yeah. So I know once again, they handled it so gracefully. It wasn't like, you've got too many people. It was never like that. They just handled it so beautifully.
But it is one thing that you have to be concerned about when you are a blended family, that you could easily overwhelm another family
right
in these types of situations. So be mindful. And, you've got to navigate this and set expectations.
Right.
And do things the best that you can.
Now, our kids in our blended family, they're very close. So everybody was there except for one kid. Except for your oldest, everyone else was there. They wanted to be there to support Jacob, so it was a big get together, and yeah, it was great, and they handled it so well.
Okay, you mentioned a little bit because of COVID. Well, COVID threw a major kink into things because Andy and Jacob weren't even supposed to be married yet.
No, they were not. They were getting married August 22nd.
So, but they bumped the date up because who knows with COVID and the rules and regulations. Now, in our religion, we get married in a temple, and most of the temples across the United States and across the world are closed. There's only a handful that are open. Our temple here in Sacramento was open for 1 week until it got shut down again because of the restrictions in California. But where Andy is from in Fort Collins, the temple was open.
So as soon as it opened, they were like, we're making a reservation. We're upping our wedding date because they were just so afraid it was going to close down again. And they said that you could bring 6 people into the ceremony. So that was going to be super easy, right? A few parents, done. Then about 4 or 5 weeks before the wedding, they said you can now have 16 people in on the ceremony. So then they had to decide another decision. Who are we going to have? I know. Who's going to go in? Da, da, da. So they had to figure that out, which I think they did a good job, but I'm sure it was hard deciding who was going to be in there. And then we had a ring ceremony afterwards.
For those that couldn't come inside the temple.
Right. Because if you're not of our religion, you can't come inside the temple. So, yeah, they did a ring ceremony and they could have...
And 30 people.
About 30, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that was the rules in Colorado. It was
right.
30 people. So
outside. 30 people outside. Yep.
So it was a wonderful... it was so relaxing and so just... It was awesome.
It was. In some ways, I say COVID wedding is the way to go because there was hardly any stress at all. Because the people that were at the wedding were family. It was us. So it was like when the ring ceremony was over, hey guys, grab a chair. We got to pull the tables in now. Like, it wasn't like, oh, we got to hurry and do this for hundreds of people. It was just us.
Yeah, it was great.
It was great. So I feel that Andy and Jacob got everything they wanted just on a smaller scale.
Yeah, and I think they enjoyed it. When I look at them and we've talked to them afterwards, they really enjoyed. It was the most important people in their lives were there,
right?
Except for Andy's brother who's deployed.
Right.
But he was there on the phone.
Yes.
Thank goodness for technology.
Thank goodness.
And then some of the other family members on my side of the family and your side of the family and my ex's side of the family that couldn't come.
Right.
We're all on Facebook Live and watching the ring ceremony. It was wonderful.
Yes. And yeah, they still had a wedding cake. We had dancing for like 45 minutes. We danced, crazy for 45 minutes. They had a ring ceremony. She had a beautiful dress. We had a dinner.
They had the sparkler tunnel to
they
run
ran
through.
Out through the sparkles. I feel like they got everything that they wanted. It was just all a little bit smaller and just so much less stressful.
It was. So they made adjustments to their expectations.
Yep.
And, it's funny because at first, when they first started planning the wedding, it was, all right, we need a venue, we need all this stuff. And when it all boiled down to it, it was in the back of Andy's parents' house in their backyard. It was beautiful.
Yep.
And we even adjusted at the very end because it started raining.
Oh, yeah, during the ring ceremony.
During the ring ceremony when they were exchanging little stories about each other, or, you could call that vows, I guess.
Yeah.
Right when they were getting ready to exchange their rings, we had a downpour.
Yep.
So we just all went inside and they finished up and we were done.
And then the downpour was over. We went back outside.
Yeah, it was.
And if we would have had hundreds of people, we certainly could not have done that.
No.
Yeah.
There was just so much that just kind of fell into place at the right time. And the right
Jacob
place.
even got his bachelor party.
He did. It was really kind of cute. So he got his bachelor party the night before he got married with his brothers.
Yes.
So his older brothers were there, except for one.
Well, just one older brother.
Yeah, just one older brother.
Yep, and 2 younger brothers.
And 2 younger brothers were there. And we actually ended up renting a house so that we could have all of our kids all together. It ended up being cheaper than, getting hotel rooms for everyone.
Yep.
So they had their bachelor party in that house in the basement while we were upstairs. They had a lot of fun.
They did. They had so much fun. They had a blast just doing minute to win it games and
just
being
acting
silly
like little kids.
Yep.
It was loads of fun.
It was so funny. So they had a great time, and he got his bachelor party, and it was all good.
Yeah. Now, some other things to consider with COVID, that flexibility is one, but COVID also took some harder questions that they might have had off of the table, which was, where do we get married?
Yes.
right? Because that was kind of forced on him. Now, think about this with a blended family. With a blended family, where do you get married? Close to mom, close to dad, close to my spouse's family.
Right.
Now, instead of only 2 places, now there's 3 places.
Right. I mean, in our situation,
It's
you
not
and your
that
ex
far.
live, 20 minutes away from each other. But they were thinking in the very beginning, they thought they would get married somewhere in the middle,
yeah.
of California and Colorado. They were thinking Utah. They were like, well, maybe it should be fair. And I think her parents and us said, you're not going to offend anyone. It makes more sense to at least have the wedding
Close to
close
one family.
to
Yeah.
someone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it ended up being in Colorado. The temple was open and it was lively. But yeah, just another adjustment they're trying to. They were trying to please everybody, right? They were trying to just please everyone, and those darn good kids trying to please us.
Well, another really funny thing that happened in the ring ceremony was we always open a ring ceremony with an opening invocation, a prayer.
Yes.
So they get up and announce, David Pulsifer will be giving the invocation, the opening prayer. And we have 2 David Pulsifers in our house. My dad is David Pulsifer.
Yes.
And our little boy, David,
Yes.
is David Pulsifer. And poor little David, he turned white as a
It was
ghost.
him that was supposed to do this. And so he slowly gets up.
And my dad patted him on the shoulder. And
They quickly said in the microphone, they said, Grandpa,
Grandpa
David
Pulsifer.
Pulsifer. And David, the relief that washed over his face. But he was going to get up and do it. Bless his heart, man.
Yeah, my little 13-year-old.
No, he was going to get up. He started to get up like, and then they said, Grandpa, David Pulsifer. He was like, oh.
That was so funny.
That was
I wish we
so
had that on
funny.
video.
I know. It was so cute. But thank you, Jacob and Andy, for a delightful, wonderful wedding.
And congratulations.
Congratulations.
And get working on those grandbabies.
Oh, yeah.
All right, our eliminating moment of the week is quite an interesting one.
Oh, yeah. I forget that we haven't recorded in so long.
So we've actually, Jacob's wedding was the 3rd week in a row that we had been traveling.
Yes. You and I went away for a couple days. Then we were home for 2 days. Then our whole family went down to Southern California to get our teeth worked on, enjoy the beach. We were home for 2 days. And then we went to the wedding. And then we were home. So on the way up from on the way back from Southern California, Dallin gave Julianne his car because Dallin got a new car. So he gave Julianne the old car that she used to drive when she was a teenager.
Yeah, it's been the teenager car since we got married.
Yep,
So
it sure has.
what is it? It's a 2003.
It's old. And
17 years old.
we've never had a problem with it. I mean, we've
No,
literally
it's
never
been a
had
good
a problem
little
with it.
car.
So he gave it to her. We're driving back. We're 4 hours into our ride. So we have 2 cars because we had a car we were driving, and then we got the car when we were down there, and she's driving it back, and it breaks down. Long story short, it breaks down. Let's just leave it at that.
Breaks down in a little town called Los Banos.
Los Banos.
If you're from the Central Valley like me, it's Los Banos.
Anyway, the town is as it sounds.
It's a small farming
Small
community.
little farming town. Nothing exciting
It's
there.
great. It's a great little place, for a farming town.
Okay.
It's quaint, So it breaks down in Los Banos.
Uh-huh.
I grew up near there, honey. The girls were always cute from Los Banos.
Okay, whatever you say.
Whatever.
Yes.
So no one's open when we drop it off, and
It was a Sunday.
It was a Sunday driving back, so we drop it off at a mechanic shop. Leave the keys in the mailbox, the drop box, and we go. All right, well, let's see what happens. So we call back, and a couple days later, and Julianne makes the call, and they said, well, it'll cost $100 to diagnose what's going on.
So yes, we're going to wrap this up because this is a long story. We're going to do long story short. They've had the car for a couple weeks. Basically, they couldn't find anything wrong with it because the computer ended up resetting. It looks like everything's great, right?
Yeah, so we got the
everything's
car
good.
back.
So I drove yesterday. I drove with Julianne 2 hours down to Los Banos, and we drove back. The car is working great. Let's cross our fingers. It continues to work
It's
great.
a true lemonade. A lemon car turned
Yes.
into lemonade. It drove great all the way home
It
and
drove great, and we're hoping it takes her to Utah and
off to school.
off to school and with no problems. If you like today's episode,
Give us 5 stars on iTunes, Spotify, Google.
and head to Facebook and like us,
And check out our blog at where'sthelemonade.org.
where you can leave questions and comments.
But most of all,
Go out and make some lemonade.
you betcha, baby.